Kahalo Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakaha Kwadash. All right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, where I have learned this truth and where I'm still learning this truth. And also, Shalom to the remnant of Israel. All right, so today is going to be part, I don't know what part it's going to be. I can't remember. 3, maybe? 2, maybe, I mean. Might be part 2. All right. Anyway, the topic is time according to the Holy Scriptures. All right. So in between this video and the last part on this topic, we did a reading of Daniel, the 2nd chapter. Okay. And in that vision that was given to Nebuchadnezzar, all right, through the Lord in his dream. Okay. And the explanation thereof from Daniel, it was giving, time, things that were happening in the Holy Scriptures, even after the king's empire was to be taken down. So the king's rulership was the gold head, and then the rulerships that would follow would be the statue from the head on down. All right. So it was showing him times to come. All right. So we're gonna pick up on in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, and the 31st through 34th verse. And if you looked at the in the videos where we did the reading, that the title screen, all right, is a picture of that statue. All right, a picture of that image that the king had seen in his night vision. All right, so you can refer to that, or you can type in I don't know, you can go to a search bar and type in the vision, or Daniel, the 2nd chapter, the statue in Daniel, the second chapter, and maybe a more clear picture if you can't see that picture too clear on this channel. Maybe when you search it up, you can get a clearer picture. All right, so let's start Daniel chapter 2. And we're going to start at verse 31 in the King James. All right. All right. So the heading above verse 31 reads the dream. Okay. And it reads, Thou, O king, sawest and behold a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part clay. All right. Thou sawest till that stone was cut out with hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces. All right, so the king seen an actual statue that had a head of gold, a chest of silver, a waist of brass, all right, legs of iron, and feet of iron mixed with clay. So all of these sections represent rulerships. All right, they represent rulerships. Let's read that again in the NLT. Daniel chapter 2, verse 31. All right. All right, Daniel chapter 2, 31 in the NLT, it says, In your vision, your majesty, you saw standing before you a huge, shining statue of a man. It was a frightening sight. The head of the statue was made of fine gold. Its chest and arms were silver. Its belly and thighs were, its belly and thighs were bronze. Its legs were iron, and its feet were a combination of iron and baked clay. As you watched, a rock was cut out from a mountain, but not by human hands. It struck the feet of iron and clay, smashing them to bits. All right, so 5 rulerships would come to pass, and then, all right, there will be a 6th that would destroy the statue. All right, so it is very important to know what time it is. All right, and the head of gold, all right, that represents the Babylonian Empire. All right, we're going to read this again in the Good News Translation, Daniel 2, verse 31. It reads, Your Majesty, in your vision, you saw standing before you a giant statue, bright and shining and terrifying to look at. Its head was made of the finest gold. Its chest and arms were made of silver, its waist and hips of bronze, its legs of iron, and its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. While you were looking at it, a great stone broke loose from a cliff without anyone touching it, struck the iron and clay feet of the statue, and shattered them. Okay? So, again, 5 rulerships will come to pass, and then there will be a 6th that will destroy the statue. So it is very important to know what time it is, man, according to the scriptures. All right, the head of gold in that statue, though, it represented the Babylonian Empire. All right, let's read on. Daniel 2, verses 36. All right. So it reads, Daniel. This is Daniel chapter 2, verse 36 in the King James. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. All right. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And whosoever the children of men, and wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. All right, so the king of Babylon at that time was the head of gold. All right, do not be fooled by what Esau Edom now says, that this now is the best rulership in the world. Don't think that this is the best. They aren't even at their height, man. They are coming down. The height of this rulership was probably in the 80s, at the time that they went to space, so called. All right. Anyway, so this is not the best rulership in the world right now. Okay. This is a very degraded rulership. All right. Speaking of America, it's fucking degraded over here. All right. The best rulership of the Edomites was the Babylonian Empire, which is why the statue represents this rulership as gold. All right. That was the best rulership for these Edomites, man. Okay. So I'm going to read Daniel 3, starting at 36 in the NLT. Okay. Hold on a second. This is Daniel 3, or Daniel 2. Excuse me. Daniel 2, verse 36. It says, That was the dream. Now we will tell the king what it means. Your Majesty, you are the greatest of kings. The God of heaven has given you sovereignty, power, strength, and honor. He has made you the ruler over all the inhabited world, and has put even the wild animals and birds under your control. You are the head of gold. All right. That was the NLT. Let's do the good news. Daniel chapter 2, verses me see, 36 through 38. All right, it reads, this is a Good News Translation. Daniel chapter 2, verses 36 through 38. This was the dream. Now I will tell your majesty what it means. Your majesty, you are the greatest of all kings. The God of heaven has made you emperor and given you power, might, and honor. He has made you ruler of all the inhabited earth and ruler over all the animals and birds. You are the head of gold. All right. So again, this is not the greatest that the Edomite kingdom has seen. That took place back in this rulership that he speaks of. That's why it's represented by that head of gold. All right. So let's go to Daniel chapter 7. All right. Daniel 7. Okay. And we're going to read verse 3. Okay. It reads, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Okay, that was Daniel 7, verse 3. All right. So this is a vision given to Daniel. The beasts represent kingdoms or kings. All right. Verse 4, it reads, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. All right. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. All right, so this represents the Babylonian, the Assyrian, and Babylonian kingdom. All right, the Assyrian and Babylonian kingdom. A lion and had eagle's wings and as a man. Okay, historical findings will show that this speaks of a Lamassu. I wish I had a picture to show you. Let me pause this and see if I can go get a picture. Give me a second. All right, now I can't see my phone. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is going to show up. But this is what a Lamassu is. All right. Okay. I don't know how clear that's going to show up. Yeah, I hope you can see that. I'm not sure if you can. All right. So that's a Lamassu. Okay. All right. So the Lamassu is of ancient Babylon. And this Lamassu is what David saw. Okay. Or Daniel, excuse me. This Lamassu is what Daniel seen. Okay. He saw that. So I think this it is thought that you can find this thing in France now. Okay. Okay. So Daniel said he saw, quote, like a lion or wings of eagles and like a man. All right. This represents the Assyrian and Babylonian dynasty. Okay. This should show how accurate the Bible is, but Esau Edom wants to try and convince you otherwise. Again, it's a Lamassu. Okay. So Lamassu is a Assyrian protective deity. All right, this represents the Babylonian and Assyrian Empire. These were the first people to have great power and rulership upon the earth. All right, the body of silver represents the second rulership. All right, so let me read Daniel 7, 3 and 4 in the NLT. All right, and keep that Lamasu in mind. Okay, this is Daniel 7, verses 3 and 4 in the NLT. All right, it reads, "Then 4 huge beasts came up out of the water, each different from the others. The first beast was like a lion with eagle's wings. All right, as I watched, its wings were pulled off, and it was left standing with its 2 hind feet on the ground like a human being, and it was given a human mind." All right, and I'm not sure how good that's showing up, man. Let's do it this way. There. All right. Okay, so that's a Lamasu. Now let's do this in the good news. Daniel 7, verses 3 and 4. In the Good News translation, it reads, "4 huge beasts came up out of the ocean, each one different from the others." Okay, it represents kings and kingdoms. All right, the first one looked like a lion, but had wings like an eagle. While I was watching, the wings were torn off. The beast was lifted up and made to stand up straight. And then a human mind was given to it. So again, Lamasu, man, which represented the Assyrian Babylonian kingdom. All right, now let's go to Daniel 7, and we're going to read verse 5 right now, okay? King James. It says, "And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh." Okay, hold on. So now let's go back to Daniel 2 for a minute, all right? Daniel chapter 2, and we're going to read verse 39. Okay, and it reads, "And after thee," speaking to King Nebuchadnezzar, all right? "And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth." All right, so the rulership started losing quality. All right, the statue went from gold to silver. It went to brass. From brass, it went to iron, and from iron, it went to iron mixed with clay. All right, so the iron mixed with clay rulership is what we are in right now. All right, that is what we are in right now. All right, so let's read on. This is Daniel chapter 2, verse 40. We're going to start at 40. And it reads, "And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh into pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise." All right. This is verse 41. "And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay." All right, verse 42. "And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. All right, so this is the kingdom that we are in right now. Okay, now let's read verse 43. It reads, and whereas thou sawest, this is Daniel chapter 2, verse 43 in the King James. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Okay, so this is also speaking of the kingdom that we are in right now. Okay, chapter 7 of Daniel goes into detail a little bit more. So we may do a reading of Daniel chapter 7. Okay, so let me get those. Let me catch us up in the NLT just to see if this thing speaks a little bit clearer. All right. Okay, we're going to Daniel 7. We're going to read verse 5. It reads, this is in the NLT, Daniel 7 and verse 5. All right, in the NLT, it reads, then I saw a second beast, and it looked, this is after the Lamasu, okay? Then I saw a second beast, and it looked like a bear. It was rearing up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And I heard a voice saying to it, get up, devour the flesh of many people. Okay? Now keep that in mind, because this is speaking of what's coming after Nebuchadnezzar, after that head of gold. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 2 in the NLT. Daniel chapter 2. And we're going to read verse 39. And it reads, but after your kingdom comes to an end, another kingdom, inferior to yours, will rise to take your place. After that kingdom has fallen, yet a third kingdom, represented by bronze, will rise to rule the world. All right? So again, the rulership started losing quality. The statue went from gold to silver. Silver went to brass. All right? From brass it went to iron. And from iron it went to iron mixed with clay. All right? The iron mixed with clay, that rulership is what we are in right now. All right? So now let's read Daniel chapter 2, verse 40 through 42. Okay? And keep in mind that this is speaking of the kingdom that we are in right now. Okay? Daniel 2, chapter 40, Daniel chapter 2, verses 40 through 42. All right? It says, following that kingdom, there will be a fourth one, as strong as iron. That kingdom will smash and crush all previous empires, just as iron smashes and crushes everything it strikes. The feet and toes you saw were a combination of iron and baked clay, showing that this kingdom will be divided. Like iron mixed with clay, it will have some of the strength of iron, but while some parts of it will be as strong as iron, other parts will be as weak as clay. All right. So Lord willing, y'all following. Lord willing, y'all following this. Okay. And let's go ahead and read verse 43 in the NLT. All right. Verse 43, Daniel 2 and 43. This mixture of iron and clay also shows that these kingdoms will try to strengthen themselves by forming alliances with each other through intermarriage, but they will not hold together, just as iron and clay do not mix. Right? And marriage means coming together of, okay? And yes, I'm going to read all these again in the Good News Translation, all right? Let's do Daniel 7 and 5 first. In the Good News Translation, it reads, "The second beast looked like a bear standing on its hind legs. It was holding 3 ribs between its teeth, and a voice said to it, 'Go on, eat as much meat as you can.'" Okay? Um, I'm going to go ahead and read on. This is verse 6 in the Good News Translation of Daniel chapter 7. "While I was watching, another beast appeared. It looked like a leopard, but on its back there were 4 wings, like the wings of a bird, and it had 4 heads, and it excuse me, it had a look of authority about it. As I was watching, a 4th beast appeared. It was powerful, horrible, terrifying. With its huge iron teeth, it crushed its victims, and then it trampled on them. Unlike the other beasts, it had 10 horns." All right, I'm not gonna go too far in this. I don't want to get too far ahead before the understanding comes. Okay, so just remember Daniel 7 and 5, where it starts talking about the second beast. The second beast looked like a bear standing on its hind legs. It was holding 3 ribs between its teeth, and a voice said to it, "Go on, eat as much meat as you can." Okay, so now in the good news, let's go back to Daniel, and I pray that I'm not confusing, that you're getting some kind of edification off of this. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 2 in the Good News Translation. All right, this is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 39 in the Good News Translation. All right, it reads, "After you," speaking to Nebuchadnezzar, that golden head, all right, "after you there will be another empire, not as great as yours," because these rulerships started losing quality. Remember, it went from gold to silver. Okay, so after, again, Daniel chapter 2 verse 39, "After you there will be another empire, not as great as yours, and after that a third, an empire of bronze, which will rule the world, which will rule the whole earth." Okay, now Daniel 40, it reads, or Daniel chapter 2 and verse 40, "And then there will be a fourth empire, as strong as iron, which shatters and breaks everything. And just as iron shatters everything, it will shatter and crush all the earlier empires." All right, you also saw that the feet and the toes were partly clay and partly iron. This means that it will be a divided empire. It will have something of the strength of iron because there was iron mixed with the clay. The toes, partly iron and partly clay, mean that part of the empire will be strong and part of it weak. All right, so again, this is the kingdom that we are in right now. All right, let's read on Daniel 43, or Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. It reads, "You also saw that the iron was mixed with the clay. This means that the rulers of that empire will try to unite their families by intermarriage, but they will not be able to, any more than iron can mix with clay." All right, so this is also speaking of the kingdom that we are right now, that we are in right now. All right, again, we may do a reading of Daniel 7 because it goes into detail about this a little bit longer. And we are going to refer to Daniel 7 a little bit more in this lesson and on this topic, but we may do a reading of Daniel 7 chapter, all right? So since we're speaking of it, let's go ahead and actually, no, we'll probably cut right there. That was a lot, man. So if you have to replay this video, read along, and just to the best of your ability, pray to the Lord, to be able to follow this, man, and listen and read and get some understanding off of this. All right. So I'm going to cut this right now, and we're not done with this topic. We're just getting started. May come back with a reading of Daniel the 7th chapter, because we're about to go into some of what is being said in Daniel 7. Okay. So with that, like I said, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kwadash. All right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, where I have learned this truth and why I'm still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant of Israel. All right, with that, we'll see you in the next video. Lord willing, shalom.